Angel in Halo, and today we're going to be talking about Fathomfolk. As says in the description, Fathomfolk is a GB fantasy inspired by East Asian mythology and Asian folk tales, and it's there's kind of like a political thing between humans and Fathomfolk, and kind of the injustice system between them. But we're going to have a little bit of chat about it. It's my first book that I've read of 2025, and I kind of want to do this thing where I review all the books that I've read. So we're going to start off with Fathomfolk. Now, I want to start off by saying that I did not finish this book, and I'll get into the reasons why very shortly. But yes, usually I'm very much like I need to finish the book. I absolutely need to finish the book to actually have a say on the book. But I thought, let's leave that in 2024. I'm not enjoying the book. I can just not finish it. But yeah, so this was my first book that I've ever DNF'd. There's one other one, but that one was for it was just like a really heavy book. Like, it had some really heavy themes in it, and I read the first chapter and I was like crying. So I was like, yeah, maybe this is not the time to read the book. It just kind of bored me. But let's get into it. I've got my notes with me so that I can keep on track with things that I want to say and things that I've got opinions about. In the first 60 pages, I was just really confused. I don't know about anybody else if you've read the book, I was just really confused at the start. I was just like, what is going on? Who are these characters? There wasn't really an introduction to the characters, so it was just really hard to get into. I wasn't understanding anything that was going on. Nothing was really making sense for me. I was confused a lot of the time. I didn't know where we were, who these people were. I was just confused. I was just like, when you read a story, you're kind of set in the world and everything's built around it. And don't get me wrong, the world building was amazing. The author has definitely thought about the story. I just feel like the author knew everything, obviously knew the world, but we didn't, and it felt like we were missing out on some kind of info and intel of the world and the characters and stuff. I wasn't really a fan of the writing style either. There were a lot of sentences that were just one word. It would say a line and then it would just say a word, and in response to the sentence, if that makes sense. So one of the ones that I've picked out were the walkways were as crowded as a peak time tram. Bodies. I'm just I don't know, I like it every now and again, but this was every single page was a full sentence and then just a word, and I was just it's just not, I didn't really feel it. And then by the end of reading the first 60 pages, I kind of said to myself, I'm gonna try the audiobook. I've never tried audiobooks before, but I thought maybe an audiobook will kind of help me understand and get me past the confusion, because it will be someone talking to me about the book. So as chapter 8 onwards, which was the 60 pages, after chapter 8, when I started listening to the audiobook and reading along at the same time, it started to pick up a bit. And I say pick up a bit in the sense of the storyline was progressing. We were getting somewhere. I said, okay, you're this character, you're this character, you're this character. Oh, I forgot to mention there's 3 different perspectives in the book, which I love changing perspectives. I really, really love changing perspectives. Percy Jackson is my favourite series. I say my favourite series, I've got another favourite series, but I love Percy Jackson for the changing perspectives, because it just makes the story really interesting, instead of having everything from one character's perspective or making it third person and kind of taking out the connection to the characters, because you don't really know what they're feeling or knowing what the narrator is telling you. It's you get insight to everybody's perspective. I just really like shifting perspective, so when I saw it was shifting perspectives, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. It's my kind of book. I really enjoyed Cordelia's point of view. Now, if you obviously don't know the story, Cordelia is one of the characters. She's kind of a higher up. She's, I'd say a little mild spoiler, but she's got a little double life. So she lives as a sea witch, and then she also lives as a partner to one of the ministers of the human culture. So I really loved her dynamic. I loved the little double life thing that went on. Even though we didn't really know why she was doing what she was doing, I'm not going to spoil anything just in case you want to read the book, but there was no kind of insight as to why she was doing what she was doing. It was okay, but you're like, you're both you're both human and you're both Fathomfolk, like why do you want to cause drama between the two? Like surely you'd want to avoid that because you're living a double life. I don't know, we don't know her motives really. I don't know, obviously towards the end of the book if we find out. I've read some other people's reviews and it doesn't seem like we find out, but anyway. I felt like I was understanding more in Nami's chapters. Now Nami is one of the she's like a rebellious type of character. She's not very clever, she just acts without thinking, and something I really don't like about characters is I don't like when people like just things that she just, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And obviously that's their character and stuff and you've made that character to be like that, but I just don't really like characters like that where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna act without thinking and that's it. But it felt like because Nami wasn't really getting what was going on, I related to her, whereas she was like explaining things that were going on. I was like, oh, that makes sense now. Because she doesn't know what's going on half the time either, so it's like she doesn't know, so she's explaining things as she's kind of thinking it, and it's like, oh, okay, I understand a little bit. Like I said, it was really confusing at the start, but towards like the middle, towards the end, it started getting, you started following on the story a little bit. It might just be me that was really confused at the beginning. Like I said, there was some terminology that I wasn't really too sure of, but like I knew the meaning of it, but it wasn't just the terminology, it was the whole like story. The story as a whole just didn't flow and just didn't, it just felt like we should have known more. We should have known, like read a book beforehand to get to where we are. Another dynamic that I really liked is the humans versus the Fathomfolk. Like I loved how humans were superior to the Fathomfolk and there was this whole rebellion going on. And like the Fathomfolk were the hard workers bound by like a pack-a-lot. They're bound by the bracelet, which is they refer to as a pack-a-lot, which like restrains them from harming humans. I really like that dynamic. I really like the whole like, people in people trying to rebel against the superior type people, and there was this whole other rebellion group, which we find more about in Nami's story and Cordelia's later on in the book as well. I really like the whole dynamic between the humans and the Fathomfolk, how it's like superior versus inferior. And one scene that kind of like really like got me like, whoa, like oh my god, was, I guess mild spoiler again, when Dan came in and Nami and Firth kissed. I was like, oh snap, there's gonna be like a love interest like type conflict, and oh my god, what's gonna happen? Because again, spoiler, Dan was in prison because of the thing because Nami was reckless and again just went after the pearl again. I think it's an unborn child or something. I have no idea. If someone knows in the comments, let me know, because again the story was just so confusing to me. But anyway, Nami tries to get this pearl at the beginning of the book and brings along two accomplices, and they both get in prison while Nami gets sent over to this other city. So one of the prisoners comes back after Nami is with this guy that she's been with for like seems like a couple of weeks, to be honest. But yeah, and I thought, oh my god, there's gonna, like, my mouth dropped on because I was just listening to the audiobook and I was doing some cleaning and stuff, and she was like, Dan walked in, I was like, oh my god, there's gonna be drama. But no, it was nothing, it was fine. It was all like, oh my god, are you okay? I'm like, really sorry, like that I got you locked up, but oh wow, it's fine now. And Dan's like, yeah, whatevs, you know what I mean? Like, so it just didn't really, I guess it just showed Nami's like reckless side, like how she just doesn't think things through and how she's just like, I have this incentive to do something and I do it now without thinking and having a plan. I'm just gonna do it and I don't care if I'm not strong enough, I'm just gonna do it. And it's like, okay. So the ending for me, I just got bored. I'm just gonna be like plain, like I just got bored. I was reading and I was just like, I was actually on the sofa, like midday, on the sofa listening to the audiobook and reading at the same time, and I was like, just getting bored. I was just falling asleep like reading because nothing was happening. There was two massive events, which I won't say for spoilers, but there was like two big things that happened with the rebellion and the humans and caused a bit of conflict. But I was just still a bit like, okay, like I just wasn't into it. I just really wasn't into it. Just didn't get me excited or get me interested in continuing the book and finding what happened. So yeah, so I kind of thought to myself, like, I'm just gonna stop reading. So I've got loads of books on my TBR. Like, I will just say I didn't finish this. I really tried, like I really tried to finish it. Like, I hate DNFing books. Like I said, I've never DNF'd a book before this, and I was like, 2025, I'm, you know, if I'm not enjoying a book, I'm gonna DNF it. And I was like, oh, I really want to enjoy this book. There's another one coming out, or it has been out. Illuma Crate's releasing another, like I think it's the prequel, another book along with it, where it's got the same kind of design. It's like, oh, it'd be really cute to have them both together. And I was like, okay, really hoping I like it. I just didn't like it. So I just kind of said to myself, look, it's fine if, you know, I'm not gonna like every book I read, but I'm not enjoying this, so let's put it down. I wasn't gonna put myself through boredom and, you know, sitting there forcing myself to read something when, you know, reading as a hobby should be fun. You know what I mean? You're doing it in your free time. You know, you want to read something that you're enjoying, not reading something that you're just not interested in, just getting through it to say that you've read the whole book. So as much as this is a review, you know, I don't know the ending. However, somebody else does on Goodreads, so we're gonna read through some Goodreads reviews and kind of share my thoughts on those reviews as well. Other people from Goodreads have read the book the whole way through and commented on it, so I wanted to share those thoughts as well. And I'm suck at talking, even though I'm making a YouTube video about this. I kind of suck conveying my thoughts across. Hopefully doing this will help me get my thoughts across a bit better. But yeah, let's read some reviews. So as a whole, Fathomfolk on Goodreads currently has 3.15 stars. Obviously this is my first time using Goodreads, so I don't know how good that actually is, but from what I know is, like, you know, I would say 4 above is like really good, you know what I mean? Like, I would rate books that I enjoyed a 3 or above, and that's based on 3,192 ratings and 1,289 reviews. I've left my review there as well, broken down a little bit better than obviously what I'm rambling on about today. So the majority gave this book 3 stars out of 5. However, the first couple of community reviews that you see are 2 stars. I wanted to go through one particular one that I really felt like resonated with me, and this is through Zana, who rated it 2 stars on the 5th of April, so I'm very late to the party, but anyway. So she starts out with, big yikes, this is such a poorly thought out political novel. She mentions that she really loves the world building in this book, which again I definitely agree with. Like, it was very well described about the world. However, it was like, you know, the world was getting described, sure, but like we weren't really into what was happening, I guess. A lot of people again in the reviews were saying that the world building reminded her of Raya and the Last Dragon. I haven't seen Raya and the Last Dragon, so I can't comment on that, but if you have watched it, then maybe that's something that you can relate to. The first 50% dragged so much. They did a buddy read and they said that they couldn't stop complaining to each other, again, which I completely agree with. The first 50% was just boring. Like, as much as I want to say that it picked up after the midpoint, it really didn't. Story wise it did, but pacing wise it didn't. It's dragged like a sack of potatoes, and again, completely agree. As mentioned before, as soon as, you know, it picked up story wise, but after that it was just, again, not really interesting. She mentions as well, like, while the multiple POVs didn't really hinder the storytelling, I'm not actually sure if it helped to tell a well-rounded story. We get different views and understanding of Tankawi history and politics through Mira, Nami and Cordelia, which is great, but the characterizations were so inconsistent. They said at the end of the day there wasn't really anyone to root for a book about societal disparity and economic equality. This isn't a good sign. We also mentioned about whenever a jaw-dropping reveal about a major character occurred on page, we really couldn't connect to the story, the characters or the storyline, and I completely agree. Like I said, I really like Cordelia's whole dynamic type thing. I love her whole double life, but it wasn't really a spoiler. Like, it wasn't really a reveal. Like, it wasn't really like a massive, oh my god, she's living a double life. I was like, oh, that makes sense. I could see the similarities and I could see the connections already at the start of the book, which great if, you know, but again, it wasn't really like a reveal when it was like, she's living a double life. I was like, yeah, I already kind of knew that. I kind of had a hunch that she was living a double life. But again, we don't know her motives as to why she's causing conflict between the two parties, human and Fathomfolk. One of their last comments says, which I think this is a spoiler a little bit, and honestly I'm just glad the author recognises that the romantic relationship between Nami and her love interest is in fact majorly icky and reeks of grooming, along with instances of gaslighting. A lot of reviewers have complained about this, and I was afraid that this romance might be a selling point. Again, I didn't really, the whole like love interest and the romantic connection between the two felt like so quick, and it was like love at first sight vibes, and I was just like, yeah, no thanks. Like, first is the person who shows Nami the rebellion and is like, yeah, you know, we're gonna stand up to the humans, and, you know, introduced her to the rebellion, and then Nami's just like, oh okay, this is cool, and then some really like intense scenes happens, or some intense things with the rebellion happens, and Nami's like, oh, that's kind of like, that's really bad, like that's really bad, like why are you doing that? And then the love interest is like, oh, you know, it's fine, and so she's like, oh yeah, oh well, it's fine. From where I was reading anyway, this was like the first kind of bits of the rebellion where it's like, oh, it's fine, that big major thing happened, oh well, loads of people got injured and possibly died, So the major ending, which obviously I didn't read, and I read this review when I was thinking about DNFing, but I wasn't yet. What in the absolute beep was that ending? Everyone now has gills. Is this some kind of all lives matter statement? I was already having problems with the whole Dragon Pearl thing. Reads like a juvenile anime wannabe Pokemon or Ghibli. But yeah, the Pearl thing, again, like I said before, just kind of confused me. I was like, so it's a child, but it's not a child. It's a sibling, but it's not a sibling, it's a Pearl? I don't know, maybe I'm missing out on some mythology lore or something, but it wasn't really conveyed as to, you know, it's like, oh, that's my sibling. It's like, okay, so why is it there, and why is it a Pearl? And, you know, I get your dragons, but like, you know, I was just confused. Anyway, so that was kind of weird, the whole Pearl thing. But yeah, with the whole everyone now has gills, does that mean there's no more humans? There's no everybody's Fathomfolk? Is it like, you know, the whole meaning of the story, like, is like, oh, you know, we, you know, welcome to our world, like, you know, you were humans and now you're not? I don't know, I haven't read the ending, I don't know. But again, I'm not really too interested in the ending. I think one of the other reviews mentioned about, you know, not being full rebellion and not being full human. You've got to find some middle ground. That was the whole point of the story, is to like not be one way or the other. You need to be like in the middle and find middle ground. And again, I feel like that's just not, you know what I mean? I want conquering. I want, like, you know, if the rebellion's gonna do something, I want them to, like, you know, go all out and be like, yeah, we're gonna like reverse the whole dynamic, we're gonna, you know, show you humans like what, you know, what we've been through. And, you know, I love that kind of like strive for the shift in dynamic, not just let's be friends and let's, you know, all get along, let's remove the bracelets, let's remove the pack-a-lot, let's you know, everybody's, you know, we're all beings, you know what I mean? Like, nah, I want domination. That's what I want in a book anyway. But yeah, if you enjoyed this kind of rambly, well, it's like a rambling rant, it feels like, to be honest, about this book, then definitely like and subscribe. So this was Fathomfolk by Eliza Chan. Like I said, I rated it personally 2 stars. I wasn't really a fan. As I said, I didn't finish it. But yeah, if you really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It's free, you can just do it, and it really helps me out a lot as a channel. And consider liking as well. And I'll probably be doing more of these in the future. I kind of want to get each book that I read and review it and I'm hoping to read a book a week, so hopefully there'll be a video a week coming out. The next book I'm going to be reading is A Court of Mist and Fury. Now I know that this book is quite popular because it's part of the ACOTAR series. I was quite hesitant to read this one, but this is the next book that I'm starting today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!